The journey of a blind photographer. Paul is a passionate photographer who, at the age of 30, completely lost his sight due to a degenerative disease. Despite his restrictions, he refuses to let go of his passion and begins an incredible journey to capture the beauty of the world through the lens of his camera. Paul learns to use other senses, such as touch and hearing, to compose his photos. He begins to venture into unknown places, such as forests and beaches, accompanied by a guide who helps him move around. He also experiments with new photographic techniques, such as painting with light and using different textures to create surprising effects. Despite his competence, Paul faces challenges and difficulties along his journey. He is confronted with the prejudice and misunderstanding of those who believe that a blind person cannot be a photographer. In addition, he faces the enemies of not being able to capture certain moments and scenes that favor a more precise vision. Despite the obstacles, Paul continues to persevere in his passion and eventually receives recognition for his work. His photos are featured in art galleries and renowned publications, and he becomes an inspiring example of how dedication and creativity can overcome limitation. Along his journey, Paul also meets other visually impaired people who are inspired by his story and his courage. He becomes a mentor and leader in his community, teaching photography techniques and sharing his experiences to help others find their own passion. Paul is photographing a sunrise on the beach. As he captures the vibrant colors and texture of the sand, he reflects on his journey and how photography helped him see the world in a different way. He smiles, knowing that even though he has lost his sight. Paul smiles, knowing that although he has lost his sight, he has gained a new perspective and a deeper understanding of the beauty and diversity of the world around him. He feels a deep gratitude for his journey and the people he's met along the way. Suddenly, he hears the sound of footsteps approaching. He is a visually impaired young man whom Paul met at a photography workshop. The young man approaches Paul and asks him to analyze one of his pictures. Paul carefully examines the photo, offering advice on composition and lighting. The young man thanks and appreciates Paul's help, and the two continue to talk about their photographic experiences and how they overcame their disabilities to continue photographing. Paul realizes that his work goes beyond the photos he takes. He became a living example that, even in the face of great challenges, it is possible to find passion and make your dreams come true. He is grateful to have found a new community of people who support and inspire him. As Paul and the young man talk, they realize they have a lot in common. Both faced enduring challenges in their lives, but faced strength and courage in their passion for photography. They brainstorm ideas for new photo projects and decide to work together on a series of photos that explore the beauty of the city they live in. Over the next few months, Paul and the young man explored different neighborhoods and locations around the city, taking amazing photos and experimenting with new techniques. They become close friends and sources of inspiration for one another. At the end of the project, they organize a joint exhibition of their photos, which is very well received by the local community. The exhibition becomes a success and helps to promote the idea that passion and experience can overcome any obstacle. Paul realizes that his journey wasn't just about photography, but about overcoming an inspiration. He is grateful to have found a greater purpose in his life and to be able to share his passion with others. A surprising fact of this story is that Paul, even though he lost his sight, was able to continue to photograph and explore his passion for visual art. He learned to use the camera and light in different ways, and was able to capture amazing and inspiring images. His courage in facing such a huge challenge, and still finding a way to follow his passion, inspired many people around the world. Some of his work has been exhibited in major art galleries, and he has received numerous awards for his photographs. Additionally, his story has inspired other visually impaired people to express themselves through visual art and not let their disability limit them. He became an advocate for inclusion and equality for people with disabilities and gave speeches. Paul managed to get photographers even without vision using different techniques and special resources. He learned how to use the camera and adjust exposure and focus settings, as well as explore other forms of sensory perception, such as hearing and touch, to capture the images. He also worked with professional photographers and accessibility experts to find ways to tailor equipment and tools for their specific needs. For example, he used cameras that could be connected to computer monitors or tablets, allowing him to view the images Although it is difficult for a completely blind person to take photographs, there are some ways for people who are partially visually impaired to take photographs. Some techniques include using assistive technology. There are some cameras with special features, such as haptic lenses that help you focus and adjust camera settings. There is also software that helps convert images to audio, allowing the blind photographer to hear the visual information in the image. Some people with partial visual impairment can use their visual memory to compose images. They may enlist the help of an assistant to adjust camera settings, but the final image will be composed by the photographer's visual memory. Use of other sensory skills, like Paul. In the way of a normal day, Paul photographed a beautiful young woman named Rosie with blue eyes, and there began a beautiful true love relationship between the two. The most beautiful images of this romance were engraved in his mind. The lenses could not focus on that love that he felt for her. Guys, subscribe to the channel, share with your friends. Every week we have stories here on the channel, based on real facts.